Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Gonna give people a little bit of time to come in. And while you're here, let me know where you're coming from. I'm in Atlanta, so tell me where you're tuning in from via the chat or via. You know how people via. All right, let's see. You got Phoenix, Chicago. Oh, this is gonna be great. I'm can't keep up. Okay, Boston, Toronto, Arizona. Tallahassee, Minnesota, Denver. Oh, this is awesome. Suwanee, Georgia. Hi, fellow Georgian. Or I don't know if you're actually from there. I am. I'm from here. Kansas City. I see Atlanta. There we go. Portland, Orlando, Florida, Houston. We got a lot of Cali people in here. Oh, so great. Manchester. What? So cool. So cool. I am so excited to have you all joining today. Isn't it really, really, we always talk about technology in all kinds of ways, but this is one of the really amazing ways we can connect from all across the world. I mean, we got Manchester in here, UK, right? Salt Lake City. Well, look, I'm excited to have you all here joining, and I want to make sure that I value your time and we get started. So, with all that said, thank you all for being here. And my name is Danielle Gray. I am here. Hey, Kelly and Holly. I am here today to talk about the ROI of storytelling and securing leadership buy-in for the AEC content creation. And so we are going to talk about several things today, but I want to start with a few notes. One, I take content and this presentation very seriously. I do not take myself seriously. So I'm here to be a human. You won't get a robot talking to you. I am real. I mean, well, that's a lot. That means a lot of things nowadays. But I am human, and I'm excited to be here. And also, I will be having exercises throughout this time today. So if you are want to go go analog, is that right? Where you write on the notepad, or also I'm big on pulling up note section. I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things, write a couple of notes down so that we can do some exercises and get things going. All right. So with that, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. So, I am a speaker and I'm curious. I've been doing speaking within SMPS for quite some time, not as an employee or a part of the team, but actually as a consultant. So, I started in 2017 and started with Confessions of a Content Whisperer, which that's for another time, but there is a little piece of that in this discussion today. So, I'm curious if you see me before, say hey, boom, in the chat. It's good to see you again, kinda, or vice versa. You know what I mean. Okay, so and also, uh, hey there. All right, we got one person. I will take that. I will take that. Okay, great. Nice to all see you there. So, look, I've also done a lot of producing in the back end. I was just about to say Amplify AEC based in SMPS, and I do a lot of the producing on the back end. So if you didn't see me walking around, it's because I had a headset in the back in the dark for 3 days, producing behind the scenes. So that's what I do in the back end. Also, you see me in ATL, great. Confession of a Content Whisperer. That is 2017, 2018, a few. That is awesome. Thank you so much for joining. All right. So also, I like to put this here because people seem to be very surprised when they see me in person if they've only seen me do a webinar. I am 6 feet tall. So if you see me in person, don't be weird. Like, whoa, that happens a lot. So, okay. Also, I think it's important to talk about that I'm a dog mom. So, if Hopefully, my dog is on her best behavior. She is very classy. Her name is Duchess. So hopefully she will be on her best behavior and not, I don't think I ordered anything from Amazon, so we should be okay, right? I'm 5'12" too. Right? We're the dog parents in here. It's a very serious thing. I won't spend too much time on it, but okay. All right. Also, I was surprised when I was doing my calculations that I've been in the AEC industry for 14 years. So I started in a design build firm and then grew into that role and then went into consulting and it just kind of kept growing. So now and actually in April, I just joined the SMPS HQ team as the director of content and knowledge resources, which I am really excited about as well. So it's I get to do content, what I love, what I love to talk about. So it's a pleasure being with you all today. And if you are a SMPS member, hello, fellow members. I am a big advocate of SMPS, specifically for the marketers, the growth leaders, the business developers. I am proud to be behind a lot of the online learning moving forward. So, yeah. All right, enough about me. Let's talk about ROI and storytelling. Well, actually, not yet. I got some notes here. So one, thank you so much to Open Asset for having me and our host today. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be able to talk about this topic. So here's a little background about Open Asset. Open Asset is the only digital asset management platform built exclusively for AEC with over 900 AEC clients worldwide. Open Asset is different from other digital asset management platforms. It is a project, proposal, and resume based. Open Asset is the hub of your content creation, helping you to A, centralize your images and data for everything is at your fingertips, B, produce proposals, resumes, and marketing collateral faster, and C, win more business. And isn't that what we're here for, right? All right, how'd I do, Open Asset? Put that on a commercial. I think that was pretty good. All right, so now we are moving on. So this is our today's agenda. We are going to lightly talk about the differentiation through storytelling, but this is not a storytelling conversation. This is about ROI and gaining leadership buy-in. But I think it's important to talk about as we are discussing this overall. We're going to talk about aligning content strategy with business goals, articulating the ROI of content. It's not enough to have all these great ideas, but you actually have to articulate it to your leadership team to buy into. And then that's what we'll go into the securing leadership buy-in, and then we'll leave some time for questions. Now, if you have questions, please put them here on in the Q&A actually, so I can really see it. If you have comments, I definitely want you to use the chat, but if there's some specific questions, I am happy to go through and answer them as they go. So this is informal, formal vibe, and if you're catching who I am and how I'm expressing myself, I don't think any of that comes as a surprise. So let's get started. So let's talk about the leadership buy-in checklist, right? So we have to identify your firm's story. You must have good content to gain ROI. So we could talk about all the different things, but if your story is not good, then I can't really help you, right? So that's why we want to talk about that. We want to make sure your firm's story is strong. And then we want to illustrate the contribution to the overall business goals, right? So sometimes it could be like, oh, marketing's over there doing whatever they're doing, right? But we want to make sure that it's very clear and there's a strong line between the contribution that we're providing to the business goals. We're going to talk about collecting case studies, and I actually have a lot of case studies toward the end of this presentation so that you feel comfortable and like, hey, this is real AEC. I've seen it done, and hopefully also give you some ideas on how you can start using some content at your own firms. And then obviously we're going to talk about having a digestible plan to pitch, right? So that is super important. Keep it simple, clear, and tangible. Okay. So I see this question here. How would you suggest getting into creative writing and storytelling? I'll talk about that very lightly, and give you something that's not in the presentation, just because I love content so much, but we are going to focus our attention on leadership buy-in. Okay. So let's talk about storytelling, and I'll get a little bit into this here. So before I go into that, let's take a moment and I want you to list 10 ways your firm is different. Oh, this is always the fun question, right? So I want to just give you a couple of minutes to think about how your firm is different. So that could be on a notepad, in your notes on your phone, a Word doc. I want to give you a moment to think about 10 ways your firm is different from all other firms. Wish I had some music here. And when you, 10 is a lot, that's fair. Ooh, 5. Because we got a lot to go through, so I want to be thoughtful about that. Once you've put together your list from 5 to 10, let's say, um, go ahead and let me know in the chat. Say all done, or I'm not doing it. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, fours, do write however many ways that you got. Let's do that. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate your transparency. Okay, we got 6. Okay, good. Good deal. Thank you all for letting me know. We're going to slowly get into this. All right, I stopped at 5. Fair. All right. Thank you. So let's look at your list. And I want to talk about the overused differentiators that I would like you to avoid. So the idea is from that list, if you have any of these that are written down, you want to just go ahead and cross those off. I'm sorry, I'm taking more away. But I promise I'm going to replace them with something different, but we're going to cross those off. So great client service, years of experience, on time and on budget. We've all heard that so many times, right? Innovative. Aren't we all innovative? Leaders in our industry, collaborative team, strong portfolio, right? So again, let's cross those out if you mentioned any of these. Okay, I still have 4. Good, 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 Kelly. I like to see it. All right, so let's also think about maybe you can add some things here. So differentiators that make your story unique. And this is the story, not, we're not talking about little short items here, but I want to just have you thinking about this. Specific client success stories, right? Specialized expertise in niche markets. That's where you get really good, right? Very detailed, distinct cultural and social values. We talk about having, the whole landscape of corporate and just the world is very different, right? So it's important to showcase our values and specifically culturally and socially. So that's important too. If you have some of that unique problem solving, like if there's a process that your team specifically does that is just super special, that's important to share. Authentic human stories. When you think about that, that's, perhaps you're working on a military project. You have somebody that's working within the military. Maybe there's a way that you can create a special story within that and why it's so special, right? Long-term client partnerships. That's something important for people to share because I think personally, I didn't love doing proposals, right? And so when you have those longer term client partnerships, that really helps us get out of that proposal cycle, and reintroducing ourselves over and over again. That's really where we want to go. And then maybe even some transformative projects with community impact, right? So these are the different ways that we can differentiate stories. Again, we're not going to go super, super deep here because we're going to talk about leadership buy-in, but I just think it's important for us to think about as you're pulling together your story. So I am going to answer these other questions as we go. So thank you, Glenn, for your question, and I will definitely get to it. All right. So here's an example. Instead of simply stating that your firm designs sustainable buildings, tell a story about a specific project where sustainability was key to solving communities' challenges, right? So that's what I'm talking about, keeping it light, but also specific so that you have a real story that people can resonate with and feel connected to. All right, so let's talk about aligning content strategy with the business goals. So let's go back to the pen and pad, keyboard and pad. List top three, and again, keep the numbers however you need them to be. Business goals for your firm over the next 12 months. I know several of you are probably having a lot of planning sessions for 2025. What are the top 3 to 5 business goals? And probably three is more likely, so you can focus in. But I'm going to give you a second, and once you get those done, or let me know in the chat so I know when to keep on moving. And most times this is in a strategic document of some sort. Sometimes, you can focus in on your division or your target area. This list is easier. Okay, good. Good. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Brittany. All right, so this is great. So we have our list of some business goals that your firm really wants to focus in on. So some of these goals may look like, example, generating more leads and winning more projects, may be more specific, but here's what I got, right? Expanding into new markets or sectors, building client trust and long-term relationships, increasing brand visibility, establishing thought leadership in specific areas, right? So these are examples of some goals that they may have. So the tip that I have and that has really served me well is to use the same exact language in my content pitch, right? I want to use that language so that it aligns and they can see and they can hear that I know what you're saying, I understand what your goals are, and this is how that is going to help those goals with the same wording, right? So here's an example, right? So a business goal is expand into the healthcare market. Here's some different ways to align that align your content goals with your business goals. So position firm as an expert in healthcare projects, showcasing relevant experience, producing thought leadership around the trends in healthcare construction. That is something that a leader, again, this is you understand, but a leader may like, oh, okay, yeah, because we are expanding into healthcare projects, right? Share thought leadership with prime subs and healthcare decision makers via email and LinkedIn. Hey, leadership, right? Yes, it will be recorded. Hey, leadership, I know that you're trying to connect with this person. Here's an article that you can share. Here's a white paper that you can get them to download. Here's this project profile or however that works, right? That can be a way to kind of have that discussion, say, hey, I'm here to help, and this is how this is contributing to this overall goal. Submit presentations, right, at conferences. So like, hey, I know John Doe, you were used to doing the presentation at this conference. I know you have this upcoming session. It would be great at the end, they scan this QR code, they can go to whatever piece of content so that they can expand more, learn more about our healthcare offerings, or learn this, or even fill out this form to download this so we get their contact information. That's how we have those discussions when we are sharing how we do this. And then collect insight from conference attendees via survey to identify key issues. I really like this one because I'm like, hey, we don't know everything, right? I would love to know what are the key issues so that we can create our content that really connects to them, right? So again, it's a way to have the discussion to align with what you've already said. As you outline, you want to expand it to the healthcare market. This is how marketing, business development, growth strategy, this is how we think we can do it and contribute to those goals. So sometimes different goals require different types of content. So I want to share a little bit about this. So we have for lead generation, right? Just to kind of get your mind going on this, case studies, white papers, webinars, blog posts that address common challenges. This is the high level, the funnel, if you will, right? The top of the funnel. But for lead generation, how we can solve them. So we really want to have some content at the top, bottom, and then to sell them. And we'll talk a little bit about that shortly. Brand visibility, right? If that's the goal, social media posts, video content, press releases that are highlighting what we've got going on. The leadership, articles, research reports, speaking engagements, blog posts, again, sharing trends and all of that. And then this is more for the business development, the relationship side, but it also definitely leads into marketing, which is email newsletters, testimonials, right? To build those client relationships and to share that you have those very personal and strong relationships with your clients. I really like, for example, just posting just words, right? I think I'm on Instagram, so I like the words, right? Sometimes I think people overthink we need to have this video, we need to have this picture. But if it had a quote from someone, a testimonial, keep it short though. Don't have a long testimonial. Something that people can absorb really quickly, like, oh, wow, I didn't know that they worked with them, or that's a really great way to share what they did for their project, so on and so forth. But it's a way to share that through content. All right, so now let's talk about articulating ROI for content, right? So we have this great story and we're aligned with the goals. Like, okay, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. And then now it's time to articulate, right? But I do want to answer this question because it's much more related to what we just talked about. So this is from Caitlin. What if your firm has a ton of goals because they are subdivided by market industry? How do you balance all of those goals with what a small team is actually able to tackle and create? That is a solid question. And the truth is that there's not a way to do that, right? You have to have priorities. Um, a lot of times if you're in corporate or because sometimes people have different marketing divisions for each market. Sounds like it's not that case. It's we're doing everything. Try to find at least one goal, maybe from each market that you can really tackle. Because there's no way to have a lot of like priorities are priorities, and you can't have tons of priorities because that doesn't make any of them a priority. So I would suggest and even ask leadership, hey, I really want to build something around this content development and this strategy. What do you really want to focus on? Is there something that I can do? So that's what I would suggest, Caitlin. Thank you for your question. All right, so let's go into articulating ROI for content. Now, I want you to think about something, and I would love for you all to engage with the chat here, is what does my leadership need to hear? Because I think it may be helpful for everybody to hear from each other. It's like, oh, I didn't consider that. What does my leadership need to hear, and what moves them to action? Like, what do you think actually moves them to action? That we want a proposal? Touche, touche. Yes, yes, absolutely. What else do they need to hear? What moves them to say, you know what? I think that will work. I know for my experience, results. I was just getting to that proof. They want to see that our content is generating leads. Okay, qualitative, quantitative feedback. Leadership needs to see increased traffic on their website, data, right? Win rate strategies. This is great. Um, data, new opportunities to engage with prospects. I love that. Good decision making, positive response from recruiting efforts. Yeah, because there's a recruitment part of this too. Won't cost us extra money. I know, Kimberly, I know. Analytics, absolutely. Client feedback, happy clients. Let's see, well-communicated strategy, absolutely. Amy, you agree, huh? Okay. Um, Reposting a content produce. So exactly, right? None of these are marketing fluff, which that's my favorite part. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna take all my good juju away? But that's not how we articulate and get this through to leadership, right? You're not on your own with this idea. I'll help you implement. Okay. Awesome. Exactly. So again, we can't lead with marketing fluff and trust me, as this is who I am every day. I mean, well, not every day, I'm not, anyway, I'm not gonna get, I'm a human. But my point is that, I love being able to tell a story and share all the beautiful details of how it's going to make somebody feel and how it works. But truly, I've had to learn that that's just not the way to communicate if I want to get something moved to the next level, especially not everybody's into it like I am, right? So, that's just the truth. So what you all have said, they've got to see real things. They got to see something tangible. And so the marketing fluff doesn't always lead to that. So I have to leave it at the door, right? And really talk about how I can really make this work. So I'm not gonna have a whole story about this because you all know that you got to have smart. Um, you have to have smart goals, right? Be specific, who, what, when, where, why, measurable. We're going to talk about that, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? So, I mean, when you think about even some of these goals, maybe it's a campaign that you can try. Like, okay, I know, I remember going through a strategic document one time and I was like, okay, how can I create content that they'll buy into? Okay, they really have kept on talking about this particular company that they really want to work with. Hmm, what if I created content for that group, that company, without obviously saying, hey, XYZ company, but creating everything about all the content will be focused there. Everything will be all about that company and how to get that account. They were bought into that, right? They were like, oh, okay, so we're going to do everything. We're going to send them emails. We're going to have a LinkedIn strategy from our business developers, our C-suite leadership to send our different contacts from those companies different things and white papers and to specifically, without specifically saying that that would work with them. And that is exactly the point that what I was making was that can be time bound. What if you know that they're coming out with a proposal or a RFQ? That can be where the time is. You know what? I think this is going to come out here. Let's start this here. And we can do all these different things in between. Because as you all know, 60 to 90% of the decision-making process is actually over by the time they hand you a proposal. So what can we do? And that's why I'm so in love with content, is that that's where we can really make some differences and influence the decisions, because it's like once we get the proposal, it's hard to really impact that experience. But if we can make, show up as a thought leader, maybe even them ask us questions about different things, influence the RFQ, and we know exactly how we can adapt and answer and yeah, answer in a proposal overall. I went longer than I meant to on that, but the point is that we got to make sure that our goals are smart. Okay. So here's some different ways to think about, making the content measurable, right? Because a lot of times, and even me initially, I was like, well, there's no, like, marketing is so, I was making it very dramatic, which it is. But I think there's a really great way that we can create some KPIs as well. So here's some different ideas for you as you're pulling that together. The first thing is lead generation. If that's your goal, there's ways to keep up with the number of inquiries that you get from a white paper, registrations for a webinar, email campaigns, opens, clicks, those are tangible, right? Brand awareness. I think somebody was talking about social media engagement, shares, comments, likes. And something I really love to do and I highly recommend is asking in the post, like, share, comment. Now, not like that, not like, the YouTubers like, oh, subscribe. I'm talking about like, I had this really interesting idea I did with my company. This was years ago. And it said like if you're an engineer that is doing XYZ, and we got so much engagement, right? So much engagement. Or when I'm sharing a blog post, maybe it says a couple of things about it. And then I say, share with someone would that would think this was helpful or whatever. Those are the ways that you can boost that as well. So highly recommend that you just say what you want. I mean, I'm not going to go into life stuff, but that's kind of how it works. All right. So also website traffic, right? Keeping aware of that. Another quick story. I remember checking out the Google Analytics and recognizing that one of our services, which was manufacturing consulting, was getting so much more views than all our other services, but that we never really talked about manufacturing consulting. And I was like, well, there's clearly something here. And so I was able to bring that back to the team, and they were like, oh, wow, maybe we should be talking about that. And that actual conversation grew into a bigger group, and they started to do way more manufacturing consulting deals just because they recognized that that's something that people are interested in. They want to talk about it first before going into the next step. And then that really slowed down all the proposals. They already had the connections there as well. So that was one of those ways that we can use, the website traffic in our favor as we talk about content and being just in general valuable part of the team. Thought leadership, if you're looking for KPIs, how many speaking engagements, publications, backlinks to your website, you can see all of that in the back end. For client relationships, retention rates, increased client satisfaction scores. If I think, many of us are giving our clients some kind of feedback tool. And that's a great way to get a lot of things and a lot of content, by the way. Especially if it's good content and they give you some good insight, strongly recommend. But all that being said, these are different ways that you can actually have real KPIs within content, and you can speak to your leadership in a real way of just saying, look, this is how we can do this, and I can track that and track our success. So another thing that I typically do when I'm selling internally, and I did recently within SMPS, I did a couple of things. So one is I started this AEC Unplugged. So if you are unaware, strongly recommend. I'm the host. And it's just a way for us it was a great way, besides email marketing, to have thoughtful conversations, share our thought leadership, share our programming in a way, just in a different way, other than just social media posts or emails. It was a really great way to have discussions to make it real in a way that people can connect. So that was my way. I pitched it. I had screenshots. I had a mood board of this is how I think it's going to look. This is what I think it's going to produce. This is how we can reuse these clips to repost on social media. So, and I go to that because using imagery, so, people don't really like to read, especially leadership when they're moving fast, right? So we want to make sure that we screenshot, and I screenshot everything. We'll go into that in a minute. You'll see screenshots from 2014 in this presentation. But showcase the style. So for example, to the right, not necessarily that you need to read it, but I said, hey, I would like to do some blogs. I want to start this SMPS Insights blog. And this is how I think we can do it and share on social media. And so it made it such an easy ask because they're like, oh, that looks good. Okay, yeah, that looks good. And that's really what I want for you, is to just get that easy yes so you can move forward, right? All right. So, also share high level goals. Don't tell them everything that you're going to do. And we'll talk a bit about that in a second when we're talking about our internal personas. But, list the basic goals, keep it high level, keep it light, keep it light. I can't stress that enough, right? It has to. And I see really quick, anonymous attendee. I'm new here. What is AEC Unplugged? Okay, so follow SMPS on LinkedIn, and you will be able to see some of the LinkedIn lives, and it's also on YouTube. So if you go to SMPS HQ on YouTube, you'll be able to watch all the episodes. I'm actually closing up season 2 now. So really great conversations. I'm not going to nerd out about it, but you should watch it. You should watch it. Thank you. All right. So let's see. Identify what you need. If you need a budget, say it, right? Be very clear how much you need and what you need it for and how it will contribute to your goals. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, when am I going, if you have somebody like that, I'm clearly have trauma, so I went into a specific person, but how do you know how, if it's going to work? Is this going to give me the ROI? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Right. So here's 5 tips to communicate your vision. One is compare your content to a business developer. And I did this and it really worked perfectly. I said, I was like, think of this content as a business developer. Think of the website as a business developer. If you just hired this business developer, do you expect them to come in with a project in 2 to 3 weeks? I don't think so, which lends itself to two, remind them of your typical sales cycle. If the sales cycle is 1, 2, 3 years, then that's what we should be expecting, if not more time for the content. But oh, when I say the word backlog, they're like, yes, that's what we're trying to do. We're creating backlog. We're creating backlog so that we can warm the leads. I'm giving you all these words because they've worked for me, but that's what we're doing, and that is what we're doing, right? Is we're creating a backlog, we're warming up the leads so that when the business developer is ready, they can move forward and they're familiar with the brand. You've been visible, they see you, they know you, they've read some blogs, they've read some articles, and it's warmed up and they can move a little bit faster through that process. Something I love to do, I like playing with the ego a little bit, which is sharing the competitors. Look, this is what they're doing. I don't know what you want to do, right? So that's a really great way that I've been able to, especially with certain personalities, get them to say, oh, they're doing that. Like, yeah, they're doing it, they're doing it, they're doing it. And that's also helped me greatly when getting some buy-in. Encourage your internal team to help you share content. Sometimes, as marketers, business developers, we feel like, okay, this is what we have, to share, and it has to come through the company page, and we're like, ugh, I'm getting I worked so hard on this, got 2 likes. One, don't stress it because not everybody likes comments and they do read it and they see it. So give yourself that space. But also ask for help. Hey, please share the content. And I have no problem asking, hey, when you see this pop up, comment, share, because guess what? Those internal people, that internal team has the network that you may be wanting to reach to. And guess what, person that will share, you also look like you're on top of it. You're sharing thought leadership, and that reflects well on you, right? And then another thing, I really like providing some kind of reporting to leadership to keep it top of mind. Say, this is the best performing blog, or, this is how this website, this is how this web page is performing, those kinds of things. I've also found, again, going back to the ego a bit, within your firm, I think we were talking about the different markets. You have different people. So I remember saying, oh yeah, healthcare is doing so great. They have a great they have a white paper, their blog is doing great. And you know what wastewater said? What they doing? How can I do that? And so again, works well for me. But all that being said, with the reporting specifically, it keeps it top of mind. They know that you're doing it. You can share all those analytics that we talked about, those KPIs, and it's very helpful in that way. So also, we are humans, we are all different. So each leader can be different. So speak to them differently, right? You can't just paint a broad brush. We are all different. So it may take you to move differently to get this buy-in, especially if you need to get buy-in from several people, which leads us into internal leadership personas. All right. So let's see, I'm going to answer a question before we get into this. I am a writer and presenter at associations. In those instances, I become the face of the company with leadership support. These activities enhance and expand the brand and develop thought leadership. My leadership posts and shares things I write and do and are very supportive. If the leadership does not support this due to a fear or concern that the person is getting attention rather than the firm, how do you respond to that? Feels like you just read my journal, okay? That is real, and I really don't have a good answer. I don't have a good answer to that. Um, I don't I don't have any. I have some answers, but I'm not gonna say that on a recorded webinar. The truth is that yeah, I can't really do that. Let let's talk, Glenn. We'll talk offline. All right, so let's move into the internal personas. Maybe this will be helpful as we talk about this. All right, so I want you to do something for me really quickly. You can just write, if anybody's around you or lurking, you can put initials, but write down a list of leaders that you need to buy into your content strategy. Just think about those people that need to be moved, if you will. Okay. Let's think about those leaders. Like, okay, one to two, maybe three, different areas. Sometimes that's horizontal, that's everywhere. Who are the people that you need to get to buy in? All right, two for Chris. Okay, so that's about right, right? Two to three people that you just need to get going. Oh, we have a consensus. Two it is. All right, so let's get into this. This is kind of one of my favorite parts. All right. So let's talk about internal personas. I have four, and so we're going to talk about each one of these. There's Timmy Too Busy, Neil Knows It All, Kara Don't Care, also known as Chuck Don't Give a, and Samson the Champion. Okay, so what I want you to think about is have an idea of these leaders and see where maybe some of them are across of a couple, but think about these overall, right? Thank you, Amy. I think they're great, right? I mean, and they also seen them all. All right, especially Kara Don't Care. All right, let's get into it. So first is Timmy Too Busy. I don't have time for this. That's basically what Timmy is coming from. This can be project managers, superintendents, business developer, pursuit manager, technical experts, principals. You know, I'm too busy for this. So here's what they need to hear when you're trying to get buy-in is how the strategy will benefit them, but do not share the full strategy. Only what pertains to them. The other thing that I learned about Timmy Too Busy is a couple of things. One is I would catch this person in transit, maybe in the car or headed to the airport or sitting at, their gate. You can get them to talk about like, okay, quick question. I need to get you on this, ask you about this, share about this, right? They can do things and they can usually hear in a little different way. But you only want to focus on how it will benefit them. Like, hey, I got this new case study real quick. I thought it would be helpful for you to share to your upcoming, at your upcoming meeting. Plenty. We don't need to go long about it. I'll send it to you. If you have any questions, just let me know, right? Then we go into Neil knows it all. I already know how this works. I don't need anything. I know it all, right? Whew. Mm. Still a little trauma, but what a way to turn trauma into goodness, right? Is making these internal personas. Okay, so titles. This could be C-suites, principals, definitely some technical experts, presidents, those types of people. Here's what I do. Again, we're talking about ego and being honest, right? How they inspired an idea. You know what, Neil? When you said in that meeting, I mean, it just had me thinking, you know what we could do in my idea. Oh, it works amazing. It works amazing every time. And I feel great about it. I feel no less of a professional by doing that because it has always been so much easier to get buy-in. And then also how their expertise can be helpful. You know, I'm writing this case study and I know you are the person, you're the go-to person to ask about this. So if I could just get a few moments of your time, it would be very, very helpful, right? So, I think that would be great. Okay, Kelly, if your company does personality profiles, yeah, hopefully you gain access to these profiles. Yeah, they do love talking about themselves. And you absolutely see, this is a way that you can get to know people and use the exactly disc assessments are great for this. I think a lot about buy-in and leadership and talking to them is about understanding the personality. That's the best part about being human, right? But also on the flip coin of Neil, don't share new ideas because if they don't know it, they are offended that you know it. Okay, so don't do any new ideas. Even if it is a new idea, I like to say how they inspired it in some way, that so I can get to my new idea. All right, so Kara don't click Kara, also known as Chuck don't give a. Somebody gave me that and I couldn't let it go. It was too good. Blank stare. Because what are you doing here? Why are you in my office? What do you need? I don't care. I am here to do my job and my job only, right? That could be anybody, truly technical experts. Anybody that does not like marketing is not in my title. Why are you asking me? What I do is how it will help their job, how it will help them do their job more effectively, right? Look, I know you're working, I know you're doing your thing. Um, this could possibly warm up a lead. I just want to share this to you. If it works for you, great. If not, that's okay, right? What to avoid sharing anything that has nothing to do with their job. So just, I keep the blank stare energy real quick, real. Because, the other thing that I've learned is, and something to consider, if somebody is a care or don't care, don't try to make them be something else. If they care or don't care, that's okay. Work with them within that, but don't try to force anybody to be anything that they're not. Um, Another life lesson that I've learned, but we'll keep going with the presentation. All right, and then our final persona, Samson the champion. Oh, I really hope that you have a Samson the champion on your team. It is so helpful. At my first design build firm, I had my CMO was my Samson the champion, and it helped me so much. So what Samson the champion, this is someone that supports you. I support what you're doing. Let me know how I can help. So what you have to do is make sure to share how they can help move your strategy forward. Who do they need to convince? Like, I can't get this person on the phone. They won't answer. But if they can use their status in any way or their position in any way to get the things that you need, hey, Samson, I can't get this person. Can you get them to respond to this email? And that's how we work with Samson. However, what Samson does not want to hear is your negativity and your uncertainty. So go in there confident and knowing and being clear on how they can help you, he or she can help you, and avoid the negativity. Keep it light. I think everything should be that way. All right, so we're getting closer on time. Man, if I had a profile for a micromanager, we would need more time, Amy. We need more time. But I'm gonna go through some of these case studies really quickly. And if you have questions, if there anything percolating, please put them in the Q&A chat, and I'll try to get to them so that we can all end here on time. All right, so here's case study one, something that this again, these are just ideas. We were talking in a meeting with one of my clients at the time, and it was like, man, I just get so annoyed. Like, they don't know, like, our customers don't know what to even consider when selecting us. So this is what I created, right? So 10 questions to ask potential system integrators. This was printed, and on the flip side, it had a list of questions. And of course, you get all the yeses. Obviously, we can speak to that, right? And so this was a really great way for us to create content. And sometimes we only think about content being digital or something like that. Betty knows better. I'm sorry. That's so great. Kelly, thank you. We don't have enough time, and I'm not doing this with you guys today. Okay, but keep it coming. Keep it coming. Okay, so that's the first one as far as a case study. The second case study, and you'll see these are very old screenshots. Okay, so I told you they were coming. We did this email campaign to share about this upcoming partnership. Our market leader for healthcare got they got an email, like responded to that email and say, oh, you know what? This is really interesting. We'd be interested to learn more or see how you can help us. And I remember his name is Jim. He came real fast. He was like, I've been trying to talk to this guy for 3 years. And what was really great, it actually turned into a project. So what we could speak to in our marketing team is that an email really turned into millions of dollars, that's really what we want. And so screenshot everything. The difference between this first screenshot and this last one was probably like 2 or 3 years. Okay, let's see. All right, another example here. So we did this blog series, and at the end of each blog series, it said, would you prefer to speak to a subject matter expert? You could contact this person and we'll help you out, right? And this was about, I think, simulation in some way. And so we were sharing that on social media, doing all the different things, and it actually turned into something. Hi, while conducting research for this article, I came across the blogs on simulation, right? We got a whole ad essentially, didn't have to pay for it because this was about thought leadership, which was actually in the feature story. So again, this was a really big deal when we were working on this. Another way to draw it closer or align to actually how content is delivering. This is more of an example of different ways that we can do. It's like, oh, I don't want to ask for anybody to do the forms, but honestly, this is the way to transform unknown visitors into known visitors. And this is how we generate leads, right? It's just true. So I wouldn't put this on everything, but the really good content, maybe the white papers, the dense content, I would highly recommend making sure to put those fields there. Don't do too many. We'll talk about that, but keep it light again. All right, here's an example. We had an event coming up, and I made sure to we had like this registration page. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rushing. I want to make sure we get out on time. Is We had a registration page. It had their name, last name, company, email address, and then it also asked like, what's your key issue that you're challenged with in your facility? And so by getting this, I actually went through LinkedIn because that's what you can do and found all the people. So I put their pictures, I put their name, and I put their answers and then delivered that to our whole team that was attending this event. And they found it to be very, very helpful because they kind of had some insight. Oh, you served here. You do this, you do that. You went to this college and made it very, very helpful in that way. And then this was kind of the back end of it. We did a video and also made sure we got audio because at the time I couldn't get them to invest in obviously the video of it. But we just, took the audio and added the slides and people were able to watch it on demand. It was great. And again, I told you what's their biggest issue that we had them in the registration. What's their biggest issue? It was overall equipment or effectiveness. I told the team, hey, this is what people are answering. We need to do a white paper on it. Right? That's how you kind of keep it going. And then this one was at a healthcare conference. We decided to ask some questions. This is in person, someone asking some different survey questions just to give some insight. And we were actually able to get a lot of insight from it. Like, okay, what does do more with less mean? What's your project delivery method that you prefer? Again, this is very light and easy to talk about, but we were able to report on it and be the thought leaders. Look, it's clear that 73% are paying 3% in change orders. This is how we do it differently. This is how we work differently, right? All right, so yes, join SMPS. Come on down, Cheryl. Okay. All right. So look, we've gone through and I have some questions here that I want to get through, but I hope you all are enjoying this as much as I have. The key takeaways: identify your firm story. You got to have a good story, right? It has to be individual, it has to be special. Align your overall business goals. Make sure you're using that same language. Know your internal audience. You know your external audience, know your internal audience, and know how you need to speak to them. And then again, get into that plan, make it simple, clear, show examples, screenshots, all of those things to know that it's possible. All right. So we're going to jump into Q&A. And we have a few here. So John at the beginning said, how would you suggest getting into creative writing and storytelling? Here's what I'll say. I There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but I am going to give a very short way for content, how to create really solid content. And that is to answer three questions. What, so what, now what? Every piece of content should answer those three questions. What are you talking about? So what? Who cares? Why should someone care? And now what? That's your call to action. So there's a lot of ways to get into it, but I want to just share that nugget. That's how I create and craft all of my content. Let's see. How do you approach the leadership about blending a personal brand and a company brand? It's very tricky because that's something that I'm doing right now. But I think that I'm unapologetic about it and I love doing what I do. And I share with them, just like I share with content, the benefits of me being able to be here with you today, be able to represent SMPS in this way, but also being solidly Danielle Gray is also very important to me. So there's a way to do it, and I'm just unapologetic about it. So there is no room for response, I guess. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? So look, thank you all so much. If there's any other questions, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the Open Asset team. I'm sure they'll be able to connect you with me. It has been quite the pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm going to read all the comments because I will accept that. Thank you. Energy is everything. Thank you. So, I think that's a wrap today. I'll give you your afternoon back. I appreciate you all and all the great, great things. Make sure AEC Unplugged and connect with me on LinkedIn, Danielle Gray, MBA. All right? Awesome. Thank you.